Maybe I'm crazy, but Bucks fans have a whole lot to worry about.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
Welcome to the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you're doing well. We got the whole crazy gang here this week. Heller, Donnie, T, and myself. We're going to talk a little Bucks football and explain that disaster on Sunday nights. We have a quarterback in Miami, finally, in TUA. What's going on with the Chargers? What teams are going to look really different next year, not just the really awful Jets? So a lot going on today on the podcast, but let's get started with Wit It or Quit It.
With it, with it, quit it.
What?
With it.
We about to turn up in this bitch.
What's up, Heller? What am I witting or quitting today?
What's up, Joy? How are you?
I'm a little afraid we're going to have a civil war, but other than that, I'm good.
Nah, we're good. That's a once in a country type civil war that we had back then. So I think we're good. Probably no more. Hopefully.
I'm
Anyway,
leaving,
all right.
by the way. If that happens, I'm out.
Have you ever been to Vancouver? It's like
I
all of the
love
West Coast cities
Vancouver.
combined into a better city.
I don't know what the refugee situation in Canada is for Americans. I'm guessing it's limited at this point. But I have other solutions. I might go to Hawaii because even though it's still obviously America, I think everyone's just chilling, you know. So I feel like I might be safe there. If not, I'm heading to Australia, and I've got some friends down there, and I'm just gonna kick it until it's over.
Yeah, I think Australia might. I think New Zealand's probably safer, but I think they would take us in Canada because they, even though their healthcare is better and they've got some other good stuff going on up there. I'm pretty sure our TV is still better, so they could use us up there. You know what I mean? A talent like yourself, a producer as myself. I feel like we could
I'll
find
have
a
to brush
spot
up
there.
on my hockey a little bit, but yeah, I see your point.
Easy. No one can see the puck anyway, so how hard could that be? All right, let's talk some American sports, namely American tackle football. The NFL game has changed quite a bit since a chubby Ben Roethlisberger was drafted by the Steelers out of Miami of Ohio. Big Ben went to the AFC Championship in his first year, and then won the Super Bowl the next, which sounds an awful lot like the current face of the league, Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes also added an MVP into his mix, though. Their styles are different, and Mahomes is a better player right now. But Joy, the Steelers are better than the Chiefs. Wit it or quit it.
I am going to have to say quit it, but only a little quit it. Only a little one. Only a little.
Everyone, you're with them. You're with the majority on that, probably. I'm on Steelers Island right now. I'll admit that.
Listen, I'm a Yinzer, so I love that the Steelers are playing well. This is an amazing season. But I've seen the Chiefs just win a Super Bowl, basically the same assembled
they beat
team.
this team,
Beating that team earlier this year. I watched it. So
I did. I watched it too.
they have one loss to a division rival, and they can win multiple ways, and they've dominated people. The Steelers, while they continue to win, and some of these wins are ugly, they haven't really dominated anybody. And none of that really matters that much. You get the win. There's just a win column and a loss column. You don't get pretty points. So I get that. But I would like to see them just throw a team, to the side. And I don't need to see it to trust them, but it would make me feel better. Now I'm a little concerned because Ben is banged up again.
Isn't he on the COVID list?
He's on the COVID list this week. Yeah, so this could be the week that the Steelers are vulnerable. Now he is on the COVID list. I don't believe he tested positive. I think he was just contact tracing.
It was a high risk exposure to their tight end Vance McDonald.
Yes. So if he tests negative on Friday, he'll be able to play this weekend. So they play the Bengals this weekend. The Bengals have been playing better lately. So I still am going to give it to the Steelers, but it's probably going to be another one of those ugly wins. If it was a better team that they were going up against with Ben being out for a few days, I might be more concerned.
Yep.
But I'm more concerned with him being banged up. I don't like that at this point in the season because you're not going to get out of the season healthy at that point. There's not enough time to rest. So overall, I love what the Steelers are doing. I love their defense. They have the ability to cause turnovers. Ben's been playing amazing. Their new receivers are great. Like Minkah Fitzpatrick's been incredible. I love the Steelers, but I just have seen this particular Chiefs group do it and win a Super Bowl. So I'm going to give them the very, very, very slight nod. That said, I think that the Steelers and the Chiefs are in a different category from the rest of the NFL. Every other team in the NFL, I have major questions about. Seattle, obviously, Russell Wilson's incredible. Their defense, no. The Packers, obviously, Aaron Rodgers and that offense can put up major points. Aaron Jones is great. Devontae Adams is great. Their run defense, what is that? What is it? Where is it? Where is it? Don't know. Bucks obviously just got slaughtered by the Saints. And now they have 2 division losses to the Saints, so they'll have to play 4 road games if they want to win the Super Bowl, which feels impossible. So Bucks obviously have major questions about. Who am I forgetting? Bills. I don't trust the Bills. Not in the postseason.
I like them.
No, I like them too. I think they're a great regular season team. I don't trust them in the postseason though at all. And the Ravens still, at the same way, have been and shown that they're incredibly talented in all phases of the ball, but they have to get over that playoff hump. So to 2 teams I trust right now, Steelers and the Chiefs, they're separated from the rest of the NFL. I trust the Chiefs a little bit more, even though Ben has 2 Super Bowls. He hasn't done it with this group, so I trust the Chiefs a little bit more. But they are the 2 best teams in the NFL. It's not close.
Yep, that's a good take grouping them together. You sort of got the undefeated team and then the proven winner, the reigning champs. I will say though that the Niners basically just lost to them in that Super Bowl so that the parade in San Francisco wouldn't have been a super spreader event. I'll just throw that out there. That's why I think they lost it. But to stop the Chiefs slander and get back to the Steelers, what I love about the Steelers most of all is Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin is a top 3 coach in this league, and maybe aside from Pete Carroll, the coach I would want to play for the most. I just love the strength of Mike Tomlin's leadership. It's also backed up by the numbers. Since 2006, only Bill Belichick and Andy Reid have more wins than him. And also since 2006, he has the 2nd highest win percentage as a coach. So they're going to be there and they're going to be around. And to push back on your point about all these close games, okay, the thing they always used to say about the Warriors that made me really mad was they blow everyone out when the competition gets serious in the playoffs. How are they gonna know how to battle back? And it's like, okay, well then I'm gonna use that argument for the Steelers here and say they only win close games, and most of the games in the playoffs are close, and that's when it's gonna matter. Defense, running the ball, an experienced quarterback, top 3 if not the best coach in the league. I think the Steelers are a serious threat.
They're definitely a serious threat. That I think they're a sliver under the Chiefs, just a slight, the tiniest little cheese slice under the Chiefs, because the Chiefs just are the Super Bowl defending champions and they haven't taken a step back. That's the only reason why. Of course, the Steelers are capable of winning a Super Bowl. They're undefeated. They're a great team this year, and I'm with you. And they have the experience. Ben has the experience. Mike Tomlin has the experience. They have the culture. They have the defense. They have all the pieces needed to win a Super Bowl. And yes, you're right. It comes down to situational ball in the playoffs, and experience is what you trust in those spots. At this particular point, I'm just saying if it came down to the Chiefs and the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, I'd be rooting really, really hard for the Steelers, but I think I'd put my money on the Chiefs, depending on what the line was, of course. But
I'm with you. I guess I got the Steelers a sliver ahead, and the sliver is just a sliver of hatred.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're splitting hairs, but they're both great.
Yep, exactly. But that's what sports debates are all about, Joy. Yeah. Sometimes in MMA or boxing, the lower weight class fights are the most exciting. On Sunday, we got to look at the NFL's super featherweight division when Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray locked horns. Okay, the Dolphins came out on top, and Tua looked so much better than that first week where I thought he looked really, really bad. Though Kyler outpaced him by the numbers. Joy, Kyler Murray is better than Tua Tagovailoa. Wit it or quit it.
Oh yeah, at this point, yes, Kyler Murray is better than Tua at this point.
Okay, so will Tua become better than him?
Yes.
Become better than.
Yes.
I quit it. I'm gonna quit that.
Homer pick. Yes. Where I'm being very rational.
You're hoping he does.
Yeah. Well, I'm being very rational about the Steelers. I'm going to be total homer about the Dolphins. I'm with you. I did not love how he looked against the Rams, but I also felt like it's one game and he didn't need to win that game. So why put him in a situation where he could possibly throw an interception or force something that he doesn't need to do? The defense and special teams won that game, and that's fine. Yep. You don't need to win with offense every single week if you don't have to. And they didn't have to. So this game, they needed him to make big plays, and he did. And that's what I love the most about it. He had some runs mixed in there. He had a lot of escapability that he didn't really show in college. He looks fresh. He has great downfield vision. I don't mind his size. I don't care about the size anymore. It took me a little bit of time. I care, but I don't. It took me a little bit of time to adjust to that, but now I'm like, it just doesn't matter. Like, if you're good enough, it doesn't matter. Russell Wilson has shown that. Kyler Murray has shown that. Now Tua has shown that. Baker, to some degree, even though there's obviously still a lot of questions about Baker, I think that's more his decision making than it is his size. It just really doesn't matter as long as you have those things in place. He's perfect for Miami. He's perfect for Flores. They have just perfectly matching personalities. I love what the Dolphins are building, and I love their defense. Their offensive line has 2 rookies. It's kind of a patchwork job right now. So they're going to improve on that in the offseason. I'm not tripping about what happens for the rest of the season as long as Tua keeps improving week to week. I know Dolphins.
You don't want to make the playoffs? I think you can make the playoffs.
I mean, we absolutely can. But if we don't, I'm not going to consider it a lost season because we've gotten to see what happens with Tua. And the Bills are still a really good team. It's their division to lose at this point. Like, the Bills are in a better situation. If the Bills and Dolphins played today, I would pick the Dolphins. But I think by the end of the season, their Bills are going to figure out their issues. Obviously had a huge win over the Seahawks this weekend, which is a great team. So, this is the Bills' division to lose. The Dolphins are right there. But I just loved what I saw from him. I wasn't sure what to expect from him in a game where they were going to give him the reins, but he more than lived up to expectations. And I'm just thrilled the Dolphins finally have a franchise quarterback. Finally.
Yep. It might be because of the left-handedness or my homerism, or because he had a play where he had a scramble where he almost fell down, but it turned out good. It was looking a little Steve Youngish out there. A little Tua was looking because what I loved about Steve Young was that he was frantic, but he was also a lawyer. So it was you knew he was smart, and that's the thing with Tua is he's accurate. He knows what's going on, and so to see the sense of urgency balanced with the accuracy and the calmness, I thought he looked great. He really turned it around for me from that first week. I think the problem for Tua though, Joy, is that context matters, and he's looking up already, both in terms of height and in terms of the heights they've reached in their game at Herbert and Burrow, right? Tua's playing from behind.
You're always going to be compared to your peers, and especially when you're in the same draft. So everyone is compared to Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, right?
Right.
If you're an older quarterback, you're going to get compared to Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes is going to get compared to Tom Brady because he's the greatest to ever do it. And then you have the current group of younger quarterbacks, which includes Patrick Mahomes. And what he's done in the short amount of time he's been in the league is kind of ridiculous. It's a very hard standard to set. It's why Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson, take a step back. No, Patrick Mahomes is incredible. Right. So, yes, and that's fair, though. He came in the draft with Burrow and with Herbert. So he should get compared to them. But I think that each of them has a very unique style. So where I think that the Burrow offense, once they get the offensive line together, is going to be very high powered. I don't think that the Dolphins are going to be built like that. They're always going to have a good defense because Flores is a defensive guy. And then I think that Tua is going to find his own style and way of doing things. I don't think it's going to be one of those teams that looks I think the Bengals offense will look more not to compare him to Mahomes, but he's just more of kind of a playmaker. I think it's just going to be one of those high-powered offenses. You can see what he does when he has protection. Herbert, on the other hand, is a big-time playmaker, but they're not going to be built the same way as the Bengals. So I think each of the teams will have a really different look. And so from that perspective, I think we'll be able to evaluate them better. But overall, I was really, really happy with what I saw from Tua.
Yep, he he stepped up. After that first week, it really looked like he was losing in that battle against those guys in that comparison. But he really stepped up this week. And then on the flip side of that, you've got Kyler, who we're comparing to Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins, and Drew Lock. So I think that might be why I think Kyler Murray is so good, perhaps, just looking into my own psyche, is that he's the only one, whereas Tua is the third I've seen from that draft trying to be great.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray is incredible. He's so fun to watch. He's so easy to root for. Arizona is a team that I don't really know anybody who's like, I hate the Arizona Cardinals. Like,
they're like the Padres or something. Yeah, it's just
like everybody likes the Cardinals. Sure. It's fun. Yeah. Like Larry Fitzgerald.
Fun in Scottsdale, whatever.
Yeah, like it's nice. People retire there. There's nothing really to hate about the Arizona Cardinals, and he makes them very fun to watch. Like he's very electric. He has that it factor that every time he touches the ball, you don't know what's going to happen, but he's going to make something happen. So I love Kyler Murray. He's perfect for that team, and I like him with Cliff Kingsbury because he seems like they're doing some creative things there. Daniel Jones, I think that the Giants are going to stick with. I like what the Giants are doing this year. They are kind of getting better every week. They're kind of the Miami of last year, where like they play really hard. They've had some crazy injuries. They don't have Saquon. Like they're still
should be lost, but it's not.
Right, and they're playing hard, and I like that. So I think they're going to stick with Daniel Jones, and I like Daniel Jones. I think they obviously need more players. Like they lost Saquon, they lost a bunch of players. They're rebuilding. No
Saquon, I don't count it.
Yeah.
I can't count it without Saquon.
Drew Lock is probably not the guy, even though he's a good dancer. And
Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins has been bailed on. So it's looking like Kyler won that situation.
When the Washington football team had yet another quarterback get their leg destroyed on the field, and they hated Dwayne Haskins so much that they ran the last guy whose leg got destroyed on that field out there. That was that was almost as bad as when he took that selfie instead of taking that final snap Haskins did in his first win. That was probably when it was over for him, but at least the new coach gave him a shot. And now, what's that thing we got? Spring League on Fox, on FS1? Starring Dwayne Haskins next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to get a backup job somewhere just because he's young. Yeah, he's young, and
they don't like. No one likes him, right? Like he has not endeared himself.
Someone has to really believe in him, but I think he's just so young that.
You know what? To your point, there's probably an Ohio State friend somewhere in the league.
He's going to end up somewhere. Yeah. He's going to end up somewhere. He's shown enough that he'll end up somewhere as a backup, but it's a rough go for him right now. Hey Donnie, what's going on? High key, low key.
All right, high key. Just as there's a race to the top for the Lombardi Trophy, there's a dueling race to the bottom for the Lawrence pick, and there's plenty of contenders. I'm looking at you, NFC East. Low key, while some of the bottom feeders are going to completely revamp their rosters this offseason, a few teams are in better shape than others and can just hit that restart button. I'm still looking at you, NFC East.
Yes. Low key, there are some teams that are just gonna look a little different next year. And not just because of Trevor Lawrence. Like, for example, let's start with the Patriots. Colin made a very revolutionary declaration today on the show, which is that Bill Belichick may just decide to leave New England. I mean, crazier things have happened. Tom Brady is a Buccaneer. So, he may look at the situation like they're not going to get a top quarterback this season. And who knows what, the landscape is going to like for getting a quarterback. And now in the AFC East, you have the Bills with Josh Allen, you have the Dolphins with Tua, and you're going to have Trevor Lawrence with the Jets, likely. And if not Trevor Lawrence, you have Sam Darnold. So it's not going to be the same AFC East that it's been for the last 20 years for him. So he may leave. I don't think that Cam's going to be there next year. And there's going to be lots of other changes with that team. So I think that the New England Patriots are going to look very different, but not going to include Trevor Lawrence. Another team I think it's going to look very different is obviously the New York Jets. They're going to get rid of Gase and get Trevor Lawrence. The Washington football team, they also don't have a quarterback. And Kyle Allen is now hurt. So they've moved off of Dwayne Haskins. What are they going to do about Alex Smith? Is he going to be the quarterback moving forward? They're going to be picking at the top of the draft, but are they going to be able to get one of those top guys? They're going to look different. I also think the Denver Broncos are going to look very different because I don't think they're going to stick with Drew Lock. It was a nice experiment. I like Drew Lock. He's got a little,
some swag, a tinge of swag,
a little something, but you don't have enough of that something to get the wins that they need, and especially in that division. The Detroit Lions, your Detroit Lions are kind of interesting though, because you guys love you some Matt Stafford.
Yeah, we sure do.
And I don't think Matt Patricia's going to go anywhere either. You guys have just been kind of quietly existing, and
that's not what the people want to hear.
Not bad enough to be really bad, and not good enough to stick with what you got. Yeah. So I don't know. I actually don't have a good read on the Lions. I think that they might just be kind of the same.
That sucks. I want to move on. Let's move on from Patricia. Let's see what's next.
I think that the Browns have a potential to look a little different. I think Odell is not going to be there next year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they're totally sold on Baker. Like Baker's kind of shown that what he is, and I don't think they're going to give him an extension. So it might end up being a Trubisky kind of situation where they bring in somebody else who's, kind of maybe going to push him or maybe be a slight step up. I don't think that they're going to have a lot of patience for Baker moving forward. So that team is going to look different. Also, the Indianapolis Colts. Now, they have a great defense, but Phillip Rivers is not the quarterback of their future. They're not a bad team, but they're not quite good enough to be a great team or a Super Bowl winning team. And they're going to need a young quarterback. Sam Darnold's going to be moving on. I think the Colts is the perfect place.
Yeah, that looks good. I can see him in that white and blue.
But I think that he's going to be a Colt next year, and I think it's going to be a good spot for him. The Panthers will be kind of the same, even though they're not really a great team. I think they're going to stick with Teddy Bridgewater, and I like what Matt Rule's doing. I also think the Falcons are going to stay the same because they can't afford to move Matt Ryan, and they can't afford to move Julio Jones. Raheem Morris has gotten them a couple wins since he's taken over. I actually think he's going to end up being the coach moving forward on a short deal because they're kind of stuck with their situation right now, and that's just kind of is what it is. The Texans obviously need a new head coach. They're not going to stick with Romeo Crennel. They're going to look a lot different next year, but they are still obviously going to have Deshaun Watson. I think they're going to make some aggressive moves once they get a new head coach and a new GM in there for that matter. And the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, well, Jacksonville's going to look different. Jacksonville is actually the place that Colin suggested that Bill Belichick go and coach.
Whoa, okay. That's
they're
different.
Going to have a top pick. They may end up actually stealing it from the Jets. If they don't, they'll have Justin Fields.
Yeah.
He'll have the ability to completely build everything up there. It's kind of interesting. It's in Florida. People have to retire in Florida. But either way, Jacksonville is going to look completely different next year as well. So it's not just the Jets. They're going to have some dramatic changes. And for once, I'm happy to say it's not going to be the Dolphins.
All right, next. High key, all eyes were on Florida this weekend. Speaking of Jacksonville, and it had nothing to do with the election. We all knew where they stood by that point. It was Brady versus Breeze Part 2, but this time Antonio Brown was involved. Low-key, the game was awful, with the GOAT suffering the biggest blowout of his career, losing 38-3. Joy, should Bucks fans be concerned?
Oh, yes. High-key, very concerned. And low-key, this was the game of the season for them.
Yeah,
I'm not so concerned that it was a blowout. Everybody has a bad game during their season, for the most part. You had to win this game. You lost to the Saints in game 1. They're in your division. You can't lose to the same team twice in a year in your division. That's bad. That's not what good teams do.
Right.
So it's fine to have one division loss. You can't have 2 to the same team, and they are a contender. It's not like this is a fluke. I didn't like their game plan at all. I don't know what the hell it was. You had 5 runs the entire game, and one of them was a kneel down, so technically 4. It felt very forced. It was just a weird approach. Like when you go down 3 touchdowns, maybe you just let's scrap whatever we had planned and try something a little different. Obviously, what we're doing is not working, and we need to adjust, which they did not do. And it was very strange. It felt like they were forcing it to Antonio Brown a little bit. They did not play their game, and now they are in a very bad position because unless the Saints just completely fall apart, which they're not going to do, you now have to play 4 road games if you're going to win a Super Bowl.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's a lot. That's a lot, and you're gonna be in the playoffs. Like it's not gonna be easy road games. Like this is the real deal. And they're gonna be against good coaches and good quarterbacks, and this is a bad spot for the Bucs. Like that kind of was the season, that game. Even if it was a tough game or a bad game, an ugly win, you had to get a win against the Saints. Could not go down 0-2 against them in the season. It's a bad spot for the Bucs. Now, like if you're okay with them just making the playoffs, then sure, like you can consider that to be a success. Which, like honestly, I didn't expect the Bucs to win the Super Bowl this year, so I don't think that it's a complete loss. But yeah, that's a really, really tough, unprecedented road that they have ahead of them now. They should definitely be concerned.
Yeah, my favorite thing coming out of this whole game was Jameis being able to eat a W for the second time. Let's just keep that video in rotation.
I will never get over it.
High-key, rookie Justin Herbert is putting up historic numbers for a first-year player, signaling the arrival of another star at the position. Low-key, young Herb plays for the Chargers. They're cursed. Despite his impressive numbers, the L's, they just keep coming.
And this L, I don't even think they deserved. Like, I know Raiders fans think I'm crazy, but I thought that was a catch. Like, it was really close. I know the ball moves a little bit, but they've rewarded that as a catch, something similar to that before. I think you got to go with what's on the field. But either way, it shouldn't come down to the final play, walk-off touchdown to get the win. And it just feels like they can't get right. Like, Chargers can't get right. And you don't want to be that team that every time you lose, people are like, oh, the Chargers, like, oh, the Falcons. Like, that's just what they do, because it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, which you guys can't get it done. And they have so much talent, and Herbert is definitely the quarterback of the future. He's been incredible. And it's just, I don't know, like, you got to charge your crystals or, I'm telling you, just get some sage. You need to come get some Reiki, like get somebody to come in there and clean that out. Like whatever it is y'all got going on, because it's crazy that they cannot finish games. It's crazy that they keep running into these situations. And it's just been going on for so long now. Like you guys moved to a whole new city.
Yeah.
You have to get it together.
There. Yeah. I read a headline that said that the Chargers were snake bitten. I like that word, snake bitten.
Yeah, well, get that venom out, because we need to watch Herbert win some games, and I can't keep doing this for the next 10 years. Hey T, what's in the culture report this week?
Hey Joy. So, girl, I feel so relieved for the first time, I think a long time. Biden, of course, succeeded and is the 46th president of the United States. And, he turned a couple states blue. PA for the win. So excited about that. He just made history. He received the most votes of any presidential candidate, or any president, to date, which is incredible. And Kamala Harris, she's the first woman, Black, Indian VP. So this is such a historical moment. It feels like it's amazing to see someone who looks like us in the White House, like hold that type of position. And I feel like representation matters, and it's like long overdue. Even though I know that there's a lot of pressure on Biden and Kamala, and of course we're gonna hold them accountable, but I do believe that they will lead America with love. But for now, I'm just gonna take in this monumental moment and just enjoy the fact that history has been made.
Yes, I too was very relieved. I wasn't sure how I was going to react. I thought maybe like I would cry or, I don't know, have some kind of like visceral reaction to the news. But I slept in and I had woke up to like 50 texts and I was like, oh my God, what happened? But I also didn't watch any coverage, period, of the news at all week, because I knew we weren't going to get an answer until like Friday at the earliest. So I was like, why am I going to stress myself out every single day following this second by second? When I get the news, I'll get the news when everyone else gets the news, like, period. I didn't want to deal with it. But it is a huge win. I feel like it's a win for our country. I feel like it's a win for women, obviously a win for Black women. And, I saw the picture that Beyonce posted of baby Kamala, and I was like, oh my God, she really looks like me. And then my friends sent me a picture of Kamala from college, and we literally have the same haircut right now. And it just kind of hit me like, wow, you know, I don't agree with everything that she's done throughout her political career. I don't agree with everything Biden's done, but we need a change, a dramatic change in this country. And it feels good to see so many people out voting, so many people using their voice. As I've said many times, I've voted in every presidential election since I was old enough to vote. So this is not new to me to vote. I've always felt like it was something that was important to do. I come from a military family. I myself obviously have not been a part of the military, but I've always felt like it's your duty as an American to exercise your right to vote because it matters. And we've seen with the count that is still happening that it does matter. Like every single vote can really make a difference, because if you don't vote and then the next person doesn't vote because they don't feel like theirs matters, and it trickles down, and then it becomes thousands and thousands of people that don't vote, and that sways an election. So I'm very proud that people have used their voice. I'm very proud people are understanding and realizing now, you know, we have the power to come together and make change. Now, my next hope is, and I keep seeing these memes everywhere, that like Capricorns are kind of still like hesitant. Cause you know, I'm super petty and I have not been very, petty. So, because it feels like a win overall, but it also, I'm just exhausted. Like I am exhausted as a human being from dealing with the last 4 years. Not just the anxiety from day to day, having to hear about the next thing that he's done, but obviously this past year with COVID has worn on all of us, and our ability to deal with stress has been tested to the limits this year. So I hope and pray that it is a peaceful transfer of power. Not so sure that it will be, which is very upsetting. The election is over, guys. It's over. Trump is not the president anymore. He is moving out of the White House. And it's very upsetting that so many people are supporting this madness, that he is not, he is not conceded, and he is not, starting the transfer over to the Biden Harris White House. So I do have a lot of anxiety about that, because it could get a little nuts over the next couple months. But hopefully cooler heads prevail and people still want democracy and not a civil war, which would be amazing. But honestly, that's where we are. So yes, overall, I'm very happy. I'm really proud of all of the organizations and the volunteers and the sports organizations and athletes that encouraged owners to open up voting sites and to spread the word about voting. It worked. And we've made a decision as a country through our democratic process to elect a new president. And I hope that I think that they will stand up for what's right and get us back on track.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like Trump lost. I still see people, Trump 2020, or we're going to fight this. And it's like, let it, it's over. Like it's over. So hopefully, like you said, it's a peaceful transition.
Because either way, it's either going to be over because Trump finally realizes it and leaves, or it's going to be over because our country completely falls apart. But either way, it won't be up to us.
Right.
Because we made our choice, and everyone else is going to have to make theirs. So that's how it goes.
Yeah. So ALEX TREBEK passed away on Sunday from this long battle of pancreatic cancer. And I remember hearing the news, a few years back. It was just so shocked. And then I think I was even more shocked hearing that he passed. And the first person I thought about was my grandma. So I called her to make sure she was okay, because, growing up, she watched Jeopardy faithfully. I watched it with her. And he was just such an incredible host and man. And I remember in elementary school, I had this Jeopardy held hand game. And, it was the closest I could get to coming on the show, because I was obviously too young. But it's just super sad, and I feel like Jeopardy just won't be the same without him.
Yeah, no, it's obviously we've known he's been sick for some time, and he's actually still been hosting the show while, dealing with cancer. He's just one of those iconic TV figures that everyone knows and loves and respects and recognizes their unique talents and purpose and influence and style, that he's just not replaceable. Like, Jeopardy won't be the same without him, because the show was about how he maneuvered and managed the show and how he related to the contestants and how he kind of would make fun of the contestants when they were wrong, but in like a, like a cheeky way where it wasn't like he never really felt bad, because, they're smart enough to be on Jeopardy, and we at home watching the show would get the questions wrong or we get them right and get so excited. And it was so fun to see the contestants go on streaks, and it's been an amazing show, a show that I appreciate, especially during a time like now where truth and intelligence and learning things is really not appreciated at all. So I think it was one of those shows that made us all smarter and made us all think and make us all want to be smart and think about things. And he was just perfect in that role. He was perfect for that show, and he just he'll never be replaced. Obviously, his influence has passed from generation to generation, and seeing some of the videos that people were posting of things that have happened with contestants, even the guy that was on not too long ago that told him that he learned English because of him. And I think like that video is the one that really broke me. That one, and the one where the contestant wrote like, "We love you, Alex," and he kind of like choked up. If a grown man cries, I'm gonna cry. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just can't. Like, if I see a grown man cry, I'm like, okay, I'm crying now. I don't know, what are we crying about? We're just gonna cry together. I can't handle it. But yeah, like that just showed the kind of influence and space that he created for people. So it's a huge loss, definitely. But it does bring me peace to know that he was with his family and he was with his wife, and he passed peacefully with loved ones around him, which is a luxury that a lot of people don't have these days because of the environment that we're in. So I'm glad to know that that's how he passed. But yeah, he will never be forgotten and never be replaced.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's so nice remembering somebody who's just such a good person, such a good human being, had good energy. Like, that stuff matters. Character matters. So yeah, he'll definitely be missed.
Thanks so much for joining us this week, guys. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, and you can listen to the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and the iHeartMedia app. And make sure you follow us on social media at Maybe I'm Crazy Pod, and myself at Joy Taylor Talks. See you next week.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not. Ooh.